Welcome back. In previous session, we worked on transformation of XML input payload to JSON output payload. But if we notice one thing, right, whenever we are doing some changes on this data view script, if it is very minimal change, then again we are deploying the project, we are going to the postman, then we are making the request, right? In real time, whenever we work on this data view language script or this particular logic, we develop this logic step by step. After getting lot of hands-on on data view language, you will be in a position to write most of the logic at a time, but at least in initial days, you will write logic one by one. And if you wanted to test that particular change, and if you are deploying and making the request again and again, that will take a lot of time, right? MuleSoft has provided a great feature as preview. By using preview, you can test your logic right here. All you need to do is, first thing, you need to set the metadata. In previous session, we already set metadata for inbound payload, right? When you load this inbound payload, like for update COVID case metadata, we loaded XML payload, correct? And this is the metadata of that particular XML payload. So while we are loading this as a example, the data view or transform message also keeps that particular example inside it. Suppose if you see here, as of now we have context. If you right click on this and say edit sample data, it able to hold the particular XML payload as an example that we provided. Once you have this example, right, and you do this logic, if you click on this preview button, then it will take a moment, then it will show you the output of the logic you wrote here, right? And if for suppose source in the example mentioned as hospital 1, if I change this to hospital 2, and see here, it automatically resulted the hospital 2. And this is an excellent feature. We will work with this preview feature from all upcoming data view sections. I will not try to do a change in the logic and deploy the project, go to the postman and make the request. That will take long time. Instead, I can open this preview and I will load the particular input payload here as a sample data. Then we would able to see the previewed outcome. For suppose here, let me do one thing. I wanted to do a small piece of logic after this mapping, that I wanted to also frame a full name. So I can give it as full name, which is going to be concatenation of first name and last name. So if I take this, keep here, and if I write plus plus, and if I provide this last name over here, it will do the concatenation of those two fields. We can see the full name has generated as first name, last name. Even I wanted to keep a extra space between first name, last name, then between these two I can do one more concatenation with a space. So the double quotes with space will provide the space in between full name. That means first name and last name. So with this preview, after this change, I need not to deploy this application again and go to the postman and make the request and print this outcome in the logger and check the outcome in the console logger. No, by using this preview feature itself, we can experience the result of the data view script. And even we see here the boxes, right? So if we click on this, it shows for us inbound metadata and outbound metadata, and the mapping has done between each field to field. Whereas if I click on this section, it removed the between part, the mapping from source to target, the particular lines. And if I click on this one, right, it is showing only two windows with input metadata and the data view logic that has built. So these are the internal sections of transform message. That's all about this section. Thank you. Happy learning.